Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ashley and I am a full-time stay-at-home mom to one, soon to be two littles, and the owner of Nichole Co., a small business where I am trying to spread joy and mental health awareness while also sharing my own personal mental health journey of healing, creating, and motherhood. So welcome back, or if you're new again, like I just said, welcome to my channel. Today's video is going to be a highly requested video that I have put off forever for some reason. Don't know why, and I'm very sorry about it, but you guys have been continually asking me for tutorials on how I make certain products, and one of the most requested ones that I have is how to make my bookmarks. So I'm going to take you through a little tutorial today on how I make both sets of bookmarks that I had originally carried in my store. If you don't know, or if you haven't been on my site for a while, I did stop carrying my double-sided bookmarks. Those are currently all just in mystery packs because I wasn't really having a fun time making them. So I'm going to make a few though because I do have some people that wanted some bookmarks. So I was making them specifically for them. So it's perfect because I could just make one really quick. And then I'm also going to make some magnetic bookmarks and show you guys how I do that. So I'm probably going to talk through this, but while I'm doing it, I'm going to record my screen. And then that way you guys can kind of see on the side what I am doing in the computer, both in Canva and also in Silhouette. Oh my goodness, why can't I think of the name of it? The Silhouette Studio. There you go. My cutting machine that I use is a Silhouette Cameo 4. I believe it is. I bought it at the beginning of last year after watching a ton of reviews on which ones I wanted to get. I know that you can hand cut out, you can do all of that. And at one point in time, I did try that at the very beginning, but I am me and I am too perfectionist for hand cutting. And I realized that really early on. So I waited. And then once it was time, I knew I wanted to just invest in a cutting machine. I knew I was going to use it and I use it all the time. So I'm very excited about my cutting machine. I love it so much. And I highly recommend if you are in the market for a cutting machine. I love my Silhouette. I haven't had any problems with it. I've never really used a Cricut, only like once or twice. My little sister owns a Cricut, but I haven't used it extensively, so I'm the worst person to ask about like comparisons or how that works or anything else. I literally only know how this works, and so far I really like it. So I'm going to first start off by just kind of showing you what it is that I am using, and as we go through I'll show you more materials, but for right now I have a few different things. I was using different paper, but the ones that I've been using for my bookmarks have been from Koala. I just watched a ton of people's videos. YouTube is a plethora of information, so if you were ever wondering, just type in how to make magnetic bookmarks or how to make double-sided bookmarks. Watch a few videos until you find a technique that you like, or you find a couple of techniques that you maybe want to combine, or things that work based on what you have and what kind of machines you have, and that'll really help you along the way. So for the Koala paper that I use for my double-sided bookmarks, this actually isn't it. I actually ran out of it, but I started using this and it's not too bad. It is a little thinner than what I want it to be, but it's not horribly thin to where there is a huge difference in this versus the old Koala paper. Cannot remember the name of my old Koala paper that I was using, but I always have every item linked in the description below, so I will have the old paper linked below as well as this one as to what I am using now. But I think I will probably switch back to the old one only because it's a little easier to get off of my cutting mat. But this is what I was using for the my magnetic bookmarks. There you go, not double-sided bookmarks. For my magnetic bookmarks, it is the Koala inkjet glossy photo paper. Only glossy on one side, it's matte on the other. I find that works best for the types of magnets that I use to get them to stick, really. It is 54-pound paper, 100 sheets of it, 8 by 5 by 11, and like I said, it's inkjet because I have a Canon Pixma, I don't even know what this is, TR8622A. That is also linked down in the description as well. I like my printer. It's fine. It's not my favorite thing right now because my ink has started to lighten. It shows up really funny, so I need to either switch around with the ink or I'm going to end up getting a new printer. But off topic, we'll go back. This is the paper that I have been using I was using for my double-sided bookmarks. So this is the Koala double-side glossy photo paper, 69 pounds, so 260 GSM, 100 sheets, 8.5 by 11 again. And I really like this paper. It does an incredible job being printed out on. The Koala brand so far has yet to disappoint me in anything that I have used from them. I think I have a couple other things up here like a cardstock or something else, and I really, really like the Koala paper. But yeah, I am kind of experimenting with a few different things. I have a few things ordered, so I can't wait for those to come in so I could just kind of see. Because like I said, I really want to improve like the thickness of my products, the quality of my products, and these are fantastic quality, but I'm ready. I'm itching for more. So let me go ahead and get everything set up on the computer, and then I'll be back in a second and I will show you exactly how I create and how I am adjusting my bookmarks. I had to get everything set up, but I have my Canva open on my screen here. So as you guys can see, I'm in my magnetic bookmarks like folder that I have. Now, if you guys have watched before, if you haven't, I do not design myself. I guess I partially design because I buy the designs for my products. I'm just not super confident in my own like full designing skills yet, and that is okay. Just want to make sure I remind people of that. You do not have to fully like hand draw and design your own products. Just make sure that you are being very open and honest about the fact that you do not hand design your own products. And if you can, give your designers some credit. So that's just kind of my little 2 cents on that. But I do not design any of these. I kind of go in, and what I really do is I add kind of the backings to these to make them what I want them to be. So when I'm buying the design, it's just kind of plain. It's whatever is listed on a site or something. So like, let me ungroup this really quick so you can see like this is the design that I actually purchased. You stop somewhere on this page. The rest of this was just something that I sat here playing around with until I found somewhere that I enjoyed the way that it laid out, and I said, okay, that works. I like this. It looks good. And so that's what ended up happening. And I just kind of play around with all of my designs like this and really make sure that they are a way that I like them to be. They are set up properly. And all I'm doing with my designs as well for my magnetic bookmarks is I have just kind of guesstimated. I guess that is the best way for me to say it, because I truly do not like measure or keep any of these the same per se. And they always kind of end up about the same in terms of like size and stuff. I just kind of go off of this page. This was just a random document that I opened. I think it's just basic. I don't even know what size this actual file is. I don't know how to look that up. I'm terrible at this, but yeah, I just kind of will put things towards the ends and say, okay, that looks about right to me. So I'm not super precise with this. I'm just very laid back when I am sitting in here and putting the backgrounds on or designing anything that I want, just kind of how I want my bookmarks to look like. And so I have all these designed, and once they are designed, I share all of my designs with myself. That's how you download them. So you would hit download here. I have them saved as PNGs because that's going to give you the best quality. And I always turn it all the way up to the highest pixel size that you can get, because that makes sure that all of your images are very clear. And then I also will download them with a transparent background because I don't want this to be white. That is why when I'm in the designing process, I do make sure that I have very outlined backgrounds or very prominent lines to show like where a cut line would be for the machine. Because if you are just using the design as it is in the beginning, like that clear design, it's going to try to cut out every single letter. It's not going to cut it out properly. It takes a lot longer to kind of get it working in Silhouette Studio. So this is something that I have found helps me the most, is making sure that I have a very like secure background that I have planned out. So once I download, I will download all of the pages. I'm not going to download them because I already have these on. You will just hit download. It'll open up on your computer and you'll save it wherever it needs to be saved at. So that is that for my magnetic bookmarks. For my regular bookmarks, I'm actually going to open up a file here because I have them saved two particular ways. These are, like I said, all old designs, all old everything, so I'm no longer going to be using a lot of these. I might reuse some of them, but I'm going to change them up a bit. So this is like one of my bookmark designs that I had, the strawberries and the flowers, and then my old logo on the bottom to make them just tall, and I would make them double-sided. I also had these separated into a print file. I saved them in Canva as well. I put in an 8x11 page, and then I just had them lined up so that I could have some spaces in between them too, so I could give myself a little wiggle room to cut, because I'm not great at that sometimes. It's a little off here and there, but yeah, so I have them saved like this, and this is exactly how I print my double-sided bookmarks. So we're going to start by doing the double-sided bookmarks because it's just the easiest for me to show you, and then we will also come back in a moment and we will cut straight to what I do in Silhouette Studio for the magnetic bookmarks. So let me go ahead and print out the correct one here, and I just need to load up my printer with paper. So let me move the camera over here for you guys so we can get that done. So for my bookmarks, I am going to be using the double-sided glossy photo paper that I showed earlier. And it doesn't matter which way you put it in to start, but I'm going to put mine in right up here at the top. And I'm going to go ahead and file and print. I'm going to just print this normally, one page, US letter, the 8.5 by 11, print the entire page. I'm going to go to my media and quality down here, feed from my rear tray, the media type, which is going to be double-sided glossy photo paper, but I don't think it says double-sided on here. I think it's just like glossy 2. Yeah, photo paper plus glossy 2 is what I normally put in. I always keep the quality at normal, and I just go ahead and hit print. And that should give me a second and it will come out. My ink is running a little low, so hopefully this shows up nicely. Like I said, luckily these are just for some friends that wanted a specific design bookmark to match with their daughters, so I'm going to just make these for them. Alright, and then I'm going to take it by this corner here, so the side that's close to the camera, the left corner, my left, I should say, and I'm just going to flip it up directly and put it right back in to my printer. And then I am going to go ahead and hit print again on this. Okay, so this has printed out, and as you can see, we now have the bookmarks printed on both sides. These are actually a lot bigger than what I made before. I think this is the wrong file, but you know, like I said, I'm not making these anymore like this, so this will be very different, but this was the method before. I don't know what I changed separately in the settings, but these are definitely like really thick, and my bookmarks were not this thick. They were a lot thinner than this, so yeah, I can't remember what I did there. It's been a while since I made them, but yeah, this is how I was making them previously. So now let me go back to my computer really quick because I have my laminator heating up over on the side. I had to take a break for a second, guys. My cat was like underneath my chair and I rolled back on her tail, so I had to pause for a second and make sure she was okay, and I feel horrible about it. So now that I have the regular bookmark printed off, and I'll show you guys together what I'm doing for both, I'm going to go into my Silhouette Studio here and open up a design in the library. Let me open here. I'm going to move this off the side so you guys don't see all of my stuff. All right, so whenever it opens, sometimes it takes a second to open. All right, well, that's huge. So we're gonna get this down a lot smaller. Sometimes I'll just put like, oh, where'd it go? Where'd it go? There we go. I'll put things down a little bit so I can see exactly where they're supposed to be at. But this is one of the designs that I have, the smut alarm clock, like smut clock, one that I have here. Around 2.4 to 6.4 is kind of where I'm going for, and I will adjust based on what I think looks the best. So this is already 2.5, just based on the side, by 5.3. So I think that should be actually a pretty decent size. So once I have this just kind of in the middle of my page here, I'll leave this for a second. I'm going to go ahead and go on the side of my Silhouette Studio here to where this little page marker is. It's the print and cut. I like to enable my registration marks so that you can see them. It makes it so much easier for the Silhouette machine to actually read it. And I like to increase the thickness all the way, and I like to move back the inset so that you get as close to the edges of the paper as you can. Once they are all the way on the back here, then that's it for my page. I'm going to then go to this little butterfly, and this is the trace section. So I'm going to hit select trace area, and I am going to trace over my entire design. So just put it in this little square like this. And for the threshold, I'm going to fill the threshold all the way in because I do not want this to go around, you know, just the clock or just the top of those chilies or anything like that. The threshold is what really lets the silhouette know where it needs to cut at. So if you were to leave it like this, it would try to cut out those chilies and also cut out the screen on its own, but it would leave the rest of this. So I want to fill it in fully so that it knows it's just cutting the outside of it. And then I will hit trace outer edge here. We're going to click that. So once you click that, you will see nothing really looks like it's changed, but you'll see a little red outline on the outside. And you probably can't because I picked a red image, but if you click up here, you can see where we have our old ones, which is 2.5 width and the 5.310 height. If you click towards the edge, you'll see it changes because there is a little line. So I'm going to move that out of the way because there tends to be a couple of these, but you can see that this is the little outline. So let me put that back in the middle of it so it is perfectly aligned and even. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down here to where this star is. This is the offset panel. So to offset something, you are going to want to click that outside line, so the 2.5141, so whichever one is the bigger outline, that's just a little red line, and you're going to want to hit offset. I leave my offset at 0.05. It gives me just enough space on the outside for the machine to cut. It leaves like a little white border. If you want it to cut directly on it, you do not have to offset, but it is a lot easier to get errors that way. I just like leaving a little bit of a distance. That little white cast around it does not bother me at all, and I have not had anybody complain who has bought a bookmark about it having a little offset. I just think it is a little easier for the machine to read because it's not attached to the design like that. So this is the offset, and I will hit apply. It's in there. Perfect. Now, one thing you will need to do is you will need to remove that original one. So the 2.614 is my outside line. If I click in, there should be 2.514. I'm going to take that out, and I'm going to delete that. And then what I'm going to do here so that I don't mess anything up is I am going to group it. So I just right click after I highlight it and group it together. So now every time I move it, I'm not going to have to reset this offset at all. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to line this up and I'm going to fit as many as I can on one page. I normally just hit duplicate, and this is where you might need to take a little bit of time, get a little creative with how you can fit things onto the page. Sometimes it's very simple and you'll go, oh, I can fit, 3 or 4 like this. Sometimes you can fit them all next to each other, but depending on how big or how small you want your designs to be, or really let you know what you can or can't fit. So I just like to duplicate, and I will just turn and try to see if I can fit as many as I possibly can on a page until I enjoy the way they look. So I'm probably going to leave this one, and let's see. I might be able to fit one more on here. If not, we'll just do 4. And it looks like we're just going to do 4 at this size, so that's okay. We'll take that off. So we'll just leave this here. You can also see if maybe if we turn it the other way, if we can get a few more across the page, which is also a fun thing to kind of play around with. And if not, you just turn it around. But this is really all up to you. It depends on what size you want them. One tip I do have is if you're not sure of the size that you're printing off, or you're not sure if it's something that you are going to like, print it off first on regular printer paper. Don't use your good paper for that. Just print with the regular printer paper so you can see what size it's going to be, about how big it's going to be, if it's going to be something that you even like. And if you're worried about that from there, then you can go, oh, okay, maybe this will fit better. So although I can still only fit 4. I'm going to put them this way because I just like the way this is laid out a little bit better. I think it gives them more space and they're just easier that way. So the next thing you will do is print. I am going to print and I'm going to do the test print exactly like I told you guys. So right on a regular piece of paper, I'm not going to put it in color. I'm not going to put anything on there. I just want it to print off normally from my bottom tray. So let me hit print here. So this will show up in black and white and I can compare it and see if that's the size that I want before I put in my good paper to print off the other ones. So if you guys see me up here, which I'll probably make this full screen again, this is what they printed off as a full size, and I'm fine with this size. I have all my other bookmarks are about the same size, and I kind of fold it in half so I can see what it looks like. So this is a good size for me. I'm very happy with them, so I'm going to go ahead and put in my, this one is just the inkjet glossy photo paper, just making sure that the glossy side is up because the non-glossy matte side, whoo, my water bottle, the matte side of this is going to be where my magnet sticks, and my magnet does not like glossy sides of paper. So now I'm going to go up here to print this out, and I'm going to hit print, and I'm going to do the same thing that I did last time where I make sure 1, my color's back on, but 2, in my media and quality, I'm going to switch this to the rear tray, and I'm going to print this on glossy photo paper plus 2. Like I said, I don't know, that's just the one I choose every time. And I'm going to go ahead and hit print. So that should print off very quickly. All right, perfect. And this is it printed off, and you can see there is a matte side on the back of this paper, but this is the printed off version of the magnetic bookmark. I have 2 different types of lamination that I use. I was, for these bookmarks, the double-sided bookmarks, I was using the Scotch heat lamination pouches. So that's what I'm going to use again for these because they always worked out really well for me. I never had any issue with them peeling up at the sides or showing anything off or like just looking weird or awkward. So I really like these. They've worked really well for me. And all you do is lift it up, make sure you have it fit in between perfectly, and then you want to feed it through yourself. So this is my thermal, it's a hot cold laminator. There you go. I bought it off of Amazon. I will have that linked below as well. But I am just going to feed this through, and it goes through really slowly, but I just want to make sure that it stays nice and smooth. And as you can tell, it's definitely a sound while those plates are heating up and in there. But as it comes out the other side, it will be darker because it is now heated. The lamination is working. And once I send it through once, I actually flip it and I send it through a second time. I just think it's better in a sense, just to make sure if there were any like air bubbles or pockets or things like that, it really pushes them out. But as long as you make sure that it is smooth one time is normally just fine. But I just really like to make sure that it is very much sent through properly. And I found with my paper, if I was not using a double-sided glossy paper, when I first tried to make these bookmarks, I used matte and they peeled off like instantly. It did not work at all on the side that was matte. So that's when I switched to saying I knew I needed to do double-sided for both, unless I just wanted them to be one side, and then I would just laminate them. Now once these are done, I'll turn this off because it's a little loud, and then we will start laminating the magnetic bookmarks as well. So I'm going to move this over to the side so it can get out of the way. And this is what it looks like now that it is fully laminated on both sides. And you can see I have it so that both of the bottoms are on the same side. Everything looks to be matching up very well. So that's perfect. I'm going to let this sit down and cool. I think it's really important. One thing I've learned is to let that fully cool in between. Before you go ahead and cut or do anything else, you really want to make sure that that is done. So now onto the magnetic bookmarks that are here. We are going to be taking the Avery self-adhesive laminating pages and putting it on top of here. What I find works best for me, it doesn't work well for other people, sometimes is the method that I have just it's kind of my tried and true method at this point. Let me wipe this off a little bit. There you go. So my method that I do is I basically lay this down, lamination side up, on top of my page. And the first thing that I do is I kind of go off of the lines that are here to figure out what markers I need to cut. So I'll just fill it to like corner to corner, and I'll look at my page, and I can see that through looking on my page, like where I can cut off on a certain red line or a red line at the top so that I don't have all that extra. So I know that I can cut up this red line here and across this red line at the top, and I should still be able to get fully on the page without worrying about any excess. That works best for me. I do know people that put the full lamination page on, or they take everything off first before they do, and I just do not have good luck with that. So I was like, let me make sure that I test it. And I do keep all of my lamination scraps. I've used a couple of them here and there, but if I'm ever making really small stickers or something kind of tiny, I will use these extra lamination scraps. But I have a whole folder of them that I don't know what to use a lot of them for yet. But like I said, I don't like to be wasteful. So what I do, my method, let me move the camera a little closer so you guys can see. My method for these is that once I've cut it out to the shape that I want, it does have the little peel tab here, and I will separate it but not take it off fully, and I fold back the page a little bit, like the paper part on here, to make it a little easier to peel. Lamination can be really tricky, especially when you don't have like a technique down that works well for you. So I fold it first so that I have this little grip that's underneath here. And then I will go ahead and take off the top part. Whoop, if I can do that. There we go. So I'll take off the top part here. Now what I do is I flip this over, and I will start by just placing the edge where I want it to be at on the paper. And when I have it down flat here, I will take my lovely handy dandy little squeegee. I like to use a squeegee. I think it helps a lot. I know I was watching somebody like unpeel it the whole time and just kind of like slowly do it, and it does not work for me like that. So then I like to hold the back, and with the squeegee underneath on this side as well, I'm pushing as I'm pulling, but very slowly to make sure that I don't get any air bubbles in. I don't miss any weird parts. Sometimes the lamination can get stuck on the paper, and if you're moving too fast, you don't notice it, and then that lamination starts coming off, and that's how we get lots of oopsies. So if you want to avoid oopsies, move nice and slow. You're not in a race. It's okay. It's kind of hard to show you guys exactly how this is going, but you know, you can kind of see it here where I am really just pulling this way while I am scrubbing this to be smooth. All right, and I will keep doing that until I get to the very end. And then once I get to the end, I can kind of push it off a little because it's pretty much done at this point. There we go. And that is how I put down the lamination on my pages. I do actually have a little bit left on the top here because I just kind of measured it wrong, but it's okay. That's not too bad. So let me go ahead and go back to the silhouette machine in a second, but I'm going to get this set up first so that way we can make sure this is all set up, okay? I need to get my cutting mat out, and I was using the original like cutting mat from Silhouette for such a long time, and yeah, it's gone. There is no saving it. There's no more resticking to it. So I bought these mats at Hobby Lobby a really long time ago, like back when I first bought everything. I literally only bought them because I saw somebody using them and they were pink, and it was before I even started the business. I had just bought the stuff, and I went and bought these mats too because I was like, I'm gonna need pink mats. So what I do is this square is the top of your Silhouette. Like this is where it reads your registration marks. So you're going to want to make sure sure that you line this up very well. Again, like I said, take your time. Once you get in the habit of doing this, you move a lot faster. But when you're originally doing it, like really take your time doing it so you can learn like your machine and things like that. Because one thing you will learn about cutting machines in general, doesn't really matter the brand, is that everybody's cutting machine is a little picky. So although they will generally take the same, you know, kind of ideas going, they're very picky. So just be careful and, you know, take your time doing it. And then this little roller I bought in a set also from Hobby Lobby forever ago. At the very beginning, because I saw somebody using it, and it comes in handy a lot. It is just like a little rubber roller so it doesn't get stuck to the sticky mat, but it really helps you get out any additional bubbles or things like that that aren't in the mat. All right, so let's go ahead and put this on our cutting machine, and then while that's cutting, we will cut out the regular bookmarks as well. Okay guys, so now we are back. Let me make sure my microphone's on. It is. Now we are back. And so now that we've printed off and we have everything stuck down to our mat here, we're going to go back into Silhouette Studio and we're going to go to the tab labeled Send. Now, it says I don't have any media loaded because I do not yet. I'm going to put that up there in a second. I put in basically the same, like, cut settings for everything, which is this one that I have labeled stickers because I just have found it works for everything that I have, which is the force at 26, the passes are at 3, the speed is at 6, and the blade depth is at 6. Found this again through looking at different videos. I cannot remember the name right now to save my life. I have intense pregnancy brain right now, but who it was that I looked at to originally figure out how to do this, and I will go look at that old video that I have because I've explained this before, but it was kind of an in the middle of a video, like a vlog. So I wanted this to be a standalone. I will link that video down below that I saw, but I just went looking through a bunch of people, Silhouette, how to cut, how to make magnetic bookmarks, how to make stickers, but just kind of put in your cutting machine, the type, the model, and then type in whatever else you want to learn how to do with it. So if it's like vinyl, stickers, anything else, and you'll figure that out really easily. So once I have that in here, you will also see on this side here where the bookmark is, where there's 2 red lines. I do not want this. So I'm going to click the screen and drag out this box so it selects everything. And what I want it to cut is the outline of the selection. So tool 1, because I only have 1 tool in, my Silhouette has 2 spots. So if I needed to have 2 different blades, or not blades, but like I don't even know what you would use 2 for, but if you needed 2 things in there, you would. But for tool 1, that's what it is. It's like use the selected lines. I don't want to. I just want this to use the outline of the selection. So once I click outline of the selection, you'll see it goes to 1, which is my offset size so that I have enough space here. I will save that. And then once we have it loaded up, we're going to go ahead and hit send. So when I put in my, it's kind of hard to do with one hand, guys. I do not have a bigger tripod again yet, so kind of behind a little here. There we go. And make sure it's in straight. And then right up here, I hit this in arrow so that it takes it in. Make sure it's still straight. That is perfect. And then if I'm on my computer here, I'm going to go ahead and hit send. This is now cut out. of the machine. I took it out, and we're just going to peel this up. I like to peel off the backing first because it just makes it a little easier. Just push that over to the side. And then I find folding helps a lot because it just kind of lifts them off without you having to do anything too crazy. And I put them down like the right sides on top of each other just so that, just in case any like sticky residue, depending on how used your mat is, any sticky residue that's on there doesn't get stuck on mine. And then I will just put this back right away because this is the only one that I am doing today. Put my little cover back on it. Make sure you keep these. My first mat, I like crumbled it up, and then after like I finished cutting everything, I was like, oh, I probably need that. So make sure you keep your little clear covers over your mats. Now, while we are on the magnetic bookmark, you know, kind of range here, that's all we do on the computer. I have them this way. I will then fold them in half, and I did not flip my designs, so they don't match perfectly. It doesn't bother me at all, but if it bothers you, make sure you flip your designs before you save them. I didn't do that with any of my designs, and it wasn't until I started really going through them that I realized that. I could go back and flip them, but yeah, if I do, I will probably wait until after I have gotten through all the ones that I've printed so that I don't see the ones that like are flipped or are not. Or if I eventually want to, I will sell the ones that aren't flipped, you know, at a discounted price, and then the ones that are flipped at the correct price. So I just kind of go ahead and fold them in half just so I can see how they match up, how they line up. Like I said, it doesn't bother me that they don't match up, and that's only because when they're in your book, they're not going to match up either. As long as it fits on the page, that's really what's important to me. So let me get these. I just like to make sure like the tops are matched up well. And then I will go across with like this hard side and just kind of do a little quick seam, not pushing down too hard, but just enough to kind of solidify where this is at in my bunch. So now let me grab my magnets and I'll show you the ones that I use. Again, these are all just per research that I have found what works for me. There are so many different types of magnets that you can get. I watched 8 billion videos, and these are the ones that I like, these round ones. I feel like they have a good strength and the stickiness on the back is good. The most important thing to look for if you want something that you like know is gonna stick is to make sure that they have a 3M backing. That is super important if you want them to like really stick and really stick well. So, like I said, that's what I use. Everything is linked down below again, like I said. I bought everything off of Amazon, but these are what they look like. They're little round magnets. Now, before I stick these down, I always stick them to each other because, as you guys know, magnets sometimes will not like each other. So I always make sure I stick them together so that they're going to stick well. Everybody in my group is like messaging me, my family group. And then I will just press and hold them down. I have seen people put a little extra reinforcement. They'll put like a little bit of like a tacky glue or a super glue on them to make sure they don't come off. I have never put anything on any of my bookmarks and I've never had a problem with these coming off. So now they are stuck down. So make sure these match up. Perfect, and I'm just going to do these for the other two. This one, okay, that's better. Alright, I'll put these last two back in here with the rest of these to be used later. Perfect. And that is all for the magnetic bookmarks. And let me grab a book back here. I still have a library book to return. You guys know I talk about this all the time, and I was going to order the third book and I just kept forgetting to, and I walked into the library the other day and saw it, and I finished it in like 2 days, and I am obsessed with this whole series, and I hope she comes out with more, because this specific Mean Mishap series is like, oh, it's my favorite. I love them. But now you have a magnetic bookmark here. If we like go to a page or two, you can put a couple pages underneath these and they work. So I'm going to put 3 pages here. And as you can see, they now stick. And let me move this up a little bit so you can see it a little better. But now they stick. Love, love, love these magnetic bookmarks. And that way you have your page, they don't fall out. You can kind of shake your book around, you're not going to lose them at all. And that is a me thing because I consistently lose regular bookmarks. So these are really good. Like I said, they stay really well on the page and they're very fitting. And like I said, you can't really tell that they don't match up because it's 2 separate pages, so you're not going to see it. But I very much enjoy these. And that is the magnetic bookmarks. So now let me get out my guillotine cutter so that I can cut the regular bookmarks for you all. You can just cut by hand. I am just shaky. That's really it. There's nothing else to it. I'm just shaky. So you can cut everything out by hand if you would like. I ordered myself a guillotine cutter after the first set of bookmarks I tried to make, and I cut them without. Like I said, there was no issue with them. Just me as a perfectionist was not a huge fan of them. So yeah, this is my cutter. I just match it up to where I would like it to cut just about at. I will see if this is what I like, and then I just, in one swift motion, will go down. Okay, so they were a little off. Take out just a little bit more. There we go. Perfect. So now I'm going to turn this and kind of try to get my little match up here again. So perfect. And a little bit here. My husband hates the sound of this guillotine cutter, so I wanted to do this before he decides to come back into the room later tonight, because he absolutely hates the guillotine cutter. Like, this is just like one of his things. Oh, that was me, but that's okay. It worked. Okay. Let me put this back before I like cut a finger off or something. I have this hanging next to my desk because my son is very much a curious person, and if I am not watching him every second, he will definitely be taking something. So, all right, and these are the regular laminated double-sided bookmarks. They are really good, like, quality. They're thin, they're not super thick, so they're really flexible for your books. But like I said, I've never had an issue with like peeling or anything coming up off of the sides with the method that I do, and I really enjoy them. I like that they're shiny. I like that they're nice. Like I said, these are just humongous. I did not mean to make them this big, but if you like them this size, let me know, because if I switch to a different paper or I'm trying something else out, I may keep them this large size. Let's see, how big are these now, because they're very large. Okay, so these are like 3.5 by a little over 8.5 in terms of size. So 3.5 inches by 8.5 inches in size. So if those are too big, let me know, because I definitely need to adjust that as I continue practicing with the double-sided bookmarks and figure out what method I like and just kind of how I want to bring these back. All right, everyone, and that is all. I hope you guys enjoyed watching me make these double-sided bookmarks that I have, and I'll show you one more time in this better lighting. Like I said, I think I've really gotten down the method that I like for how to make these. It's just how I want to bring these back. Do I want these to be this big one? Because that's kind of large in comparison to a book. So like 2 books. This one that I just finished in my current read, I mean, it's not humongous. I guess it's not terrible. But like, let me know if you like a book this, or a bookmark that's this thick, because I know like some people read their books like this, they use it as a marker. So I always thought just like smaller was better. But like if I look at, this is my current read right now, is You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty, and it's really good so far. I have a magnetic bookmark in here at the moment, but for like a book like this too, this is actually a really good size because it is a little bigger and it's a hardcover. So yeah, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you like these bigger. Like I said, it's more so me just kind of going over not only the designs, but just kind of the way that my bookmarks look. I kind of want to add more like mental health focus elements into it, or if I just want them to be designs. I'm not exactly sure yet, so tell me what you guys think. And thank you guys also for learning how I make my magnetic bookmarks. Let me know if you guys have any questions on how I make these. Let me know what other tutorials you guys want to see. I have a punch needle tutorial planned that will be coming out soon, and I was also just kind of looking into some other tutorials as to what it was that I wanted to make. A sticker tutorial, just dedicated videos so that you guys don't have to dig through vlogs for those. But let me know in the comments what type of tutorial videos you want to see, and I will see you guys on Saturday in my next video. Bye!